What is going on, guys? It is Trifecta J here, back with episode 12 of my Angels franchise. Today we have a road game in Seattle taking on the Seattle Mariners, and what will be our final game that we'll be playing in this year, moving on to year 3 after this episode, as James Paxton, the lefty, will be taking the mound. He'll be making his 30th start in the season, a 3.56 ERA. And they look at our lineup. Adrian Marquez, one of our top prospects, will be making his major league debut today in left field, batting second. So a 1-1 count with 1 out. Here's Marquez, and he hits that one down the left field line, and it will get down off the wall, and it will be a double for Adrian Marquez, his first major league hit, and it's a big one as we now have a man on second base with Mike Trout upcoming. A 3-2 count, and it's a walk on a full count. So now men on first and second. Albert Pujols, who has really bounced back this year. He has 27 home runs. He only had 14 all of last year and has 85 RBIs on the season. Now it's Andrelton Simmons who's up. He hits that one into center field. And rounding third base is Mike Trout. He'll get in. Doesn't even have to slide. So a 2-0 ball game. Now a 2-2 count with 2 men on base. So deuces are wild. And the ball is hit down the right field line. And under it is the right fielder. And that will be the final out of the inning. So Nick Tropiano will take the mound. I believe the first time I've started with him. He was injured for part of this year, so this will only be his 19th start. And he gets Boog Powell, the leadoff hitter, to go down on a strike. Now a 1-2 count with 2 outs. That ball is hit into right field. Polanco is there, and it's a 2-out single for the Mariners. 0-2 count. It's Franklin Gutierrez up, and that ball is hit to the second baseman Navarro, and the throw is in time for the final out of the inning. So since this is the final episode before the offseason of Season 2, I thought I would go through and sort of break down our roster and my plans moving forward. So in terms of starting pitcher, I feel like we have some nice arms. We have Andrew Heaney, Tyler Skaggs, Garrett Richards. Nick Tropiano could be a good 4th or 5th starter. And some nice pitching prospects, but most of them aren't really close to making their major league debut or getting close to that anywhere soon. Except we do have one very good left-handed prospect, but I'm not so sure about his ceiling in this game. So I feel like we could maybe trade for a young starter, try and get maybe a veteran starter, or keep what we have now. I feel like right now our pitching staff, minus a few additions, could be very good. Then in terms of the bullpen, we have some nice young guys, but as a whole, they're just not quite there yet. We're either going to have to go out and sign some or trade for a nice bullpen arm, because we have guys like Miguel Castro, CJ Edwards, or Shea Simmons who have high ceilings and have some nice stuff, but I'm not so sure if they'll be able to perform at a very high level right now at their current status. But so that's definitely the thing to think about there. Corey Knebel, only our real guy in our bullpen right now who I feel super solid about moving forward. I feel like he could be a very nice setup guy for us. Then in terms of offense, a catcher we have, that's definitely a spot where we're going to have to upgrade. We have one prospect, Chase Vallette, I believe is his name. He has some nice raw power, but I'm not so sure about his defensive ability. And also his just ability to make consistent contact. So that'll definitely be something we'll have to target, whether it's through free agency, the draft, or a trade. Then at first base, we have Albert Pujols, who is getting near the end of his big contract that he signed. But I don't feel like he'll probably retire until he ends that out. So we have another couple of years of him. So that'll definitely be something to keep in mind. Then you have CJ Cron, who is, he's good. I don't know about how good of a player he could truly end up being in terms of his ceiling. I feel like he'd be an everyday major leaguer. I'm not sure if that will be for us, though. And no real prospects there. So in second base, we have Ray Navarro. But then we also have Eli Wendell. He is one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He was drafted in last year's draft. And so he's a guy, I don't think he definitely won't be starting out with the team to open up next year. But he could definitely, by the end of next year, be a major contributor for us. Then on the left side of the infield, we right now have Andrelton Simmons, who I definitely think I'm going to be trying to trade in this offseason. Whatever that's for, whether it's a starting pitcher, a nice couple of prospects, or a major league bat that's already ready. That really depends on what's available. But I definitely think we're going to be looking to get rid of him, maybe getting a stopgap guy. Because we have Kevin Mayton, who we signed out of Venezuela, who's another guy who's the top prospect in all of baseball. He's still a little bit away from making the major leagues, but I feel like he could be a very nice player for us. Then at the corner, for third base, we have Kaleb Cowart and Kyle Kubica. And Cowart is a guy similar to CJ Cron, where it's sort of a, what is his actual ceiling? How good of a player can he truly be? And I worry that it's not as high as I would like out of that spot. We did get a very good third baseman drafted in the first round this year, who should be a very talented player, but he's another guy like Mayton who's pretty far away from making the majors. So that could be definitely a spot that we look to either go through free agency depending on who's available, or make a trade for that spot to get a more major league ready guy. Then in the outfield, to me, we have two spots that are definitely filled in Mike Trout and Gregory Polanco. Those are two guys who are definitely futures of this franchise. Mike Trout will be coming towards the end of his contract that was very team friendly that he signed recently. So we'll be looking to, in a couple of years, extend his contract and hopefully get him back on this team for a long period of time. Then, like I said, Gregory Polanco, and then that left field spot or center field or whatever position you want to put them in, we can sort of mix and match with our outfield. So I feel like Adrian Marquez, who you saw play in this game, he could be a very nice player. He's a very good hitter, not that great of a fielder, but I feel like being paired with Trout and Polanco, who are both very good fielders, could pair very well. And then we also have Elvis Knight, a very talented center field prospect who could be a good player for us, and a bunch of other prospects, or that could be another spot where we look to trade for a guy, such as one guy I saw would be Yoenis Cespedes, who we would trade to, or we would move to left field and trade a couple prospects to the Mets. Could be a very nice power bat to go along with Mike Trout and Gregory Polanco. And so that's basically where this team sets right now. And I feel like it is a team with some nice set talent, but we're definitely going to have to add some more, as we're now into the 9th inning, and you can see Daniel Nava goes down swinging from Steve Cishek. So that would be the final out of the inning, and we will go ahead and end this game. I talked over it for most of it, but we would go on to lose. We would lose, I believe, 5-2, I believe is the final score. So this will end off another season of our rebuild. We did not have the greatest year, but it will assure us a pretty good draft pick in next year's draft. So we're going to go ahead and simulate through the rest of the season. You can see we end up getting swept by Seattle, and then Andrew Romaine comes back. We would end up designating him for assignment. So we finished the season 72-90. So a very poor record, but at the same time, we weren't really looking to compete for a championship or anything like that. That was not really where I thought this team was at in terms of talent and potential. So Mike Trout ends up winning the Hank Aaron Award and your World Series champions. I can't remember if they won in year one. I feel like they did. But it is the Chicago Cubs. So if they did not win in year one, they've now broken their, I don't even know how many years it's been now, whatever streak it's at now in terms of their World Series drought. Like I said, 72-90. And to end off today's episode, we're going to be going through a bunch of players that I feel like could be targets for us to trade for. You have Kevin Gausman, who could be a very nice pitcher for us, maybe an ace of our staff. Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts. I'm not sure about how, in terms of actual realism, that is, but those would be great guys to have in this team. Jose Bautista will be a free agent and could be a corner outfield bat that we could go for. Michael Pineda could be a nice starting pitcher, along with Luis Severino could be another very good guy that we could trade for. Michael Pineda a little bit older. Chris Archer could be a great pitcher for us, an ace of our staff. He has a very high overall right now. Roberto Ozuna could be a great guy to put in the back of the bullpen to go along with Corey Knebel. He is only 22, and he would be a great piece for us to get. Carson Fulmer, more of a guy who would need to develop some, but has a very high potential. Chris Sale, another guy similar to Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts. I'm not sure how totally realistic that is. And Carlos Rodon could be a guy to go for. He has a pretty high potential. He's a very talented pitcher. Jose Barrios, another guy who is not quite major league ready. He would probably be in the majors next year, but not necessarily a guy who would be an ace of our staff right now, but could definitely develop into that. And then Col Stewart, a righty out of Texas. He's 22 years old, still a good bit away from the majors. Julio Teheran could be a very nice pitcher for us. If he could get his overall a little bit up, he could definitely be a nice 2 or 3 starter. I think Mike could even develop into an ace. Aroydis Vizcaíno could be another back of the bullpen guy. Jose Fernandez, he would be a very expensive guy to go get. He would cost a lot of prospects, but he could be that ace that you could insert right away. D. Gordon could be a very good leadoff guy for us. He would either have to move positions though, or Eli Wendell would. Lucas Giolito, definitely guy I'm very much considering going after. 6'6", only 22 years old. Sky's the limit for that guy in terms of potential. Then you have Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Yoenis Cespedes, like I said earlier, as a corner outfield bat. Or we could go after a guy like Brian Matz. Jake Thompson, another guy he's a very solid pitcher who would definitely have to develop some before making a huge impact. Mark Appel, 6'5". He could be a very good player for us. Javier Baez, he's getting blocked to some extent right now on the Cubs by a bunch of the talent they have. He could definitely be a guy we go after. Kyle Schwarber could be another corner outfield or a DH for us. Dwayne Underwood, a very talented guy. He's definitely not quite at the majors yet. Brandon Finnegan could be a very nice 2 or 3 starter for us, 5'11" lefty. He is a pretty good overall. I feel like he could definitely develop into something very good. Now going from 5'11" to 6'8", you have Tyler Glasnow, a guy with a very high potential. Neftali Feliz could be a very nice reliever for us if he could bounce back the way he has for the Pirates. Now I look at the Cardinals, a lot of pitchers here that I was very interested in. Alex Reyes, he could develop into a very solid pitcher. Then you also have Michael Wacha, who we might be able to trade for. I'm not sure, once again, how realistic that would totally be. Then you have Carlos Martinez, who I feel like would be a little more realistic and could be a very good pitcher for us. Then towards the bottom, or towards actually the Diamondbacks, Archie Bradley, another guy I'm very, very much considering trading for. I really like the idea of getting him or any of the potential starting pitchers from the Dodgers. Any of those would be very nice to have. But I hope you did enjoy today's video. We'll move into the offseason for episode 13, which will be coming up in a couple of days. Leave your comments down below. Which of the players that I showed you that I'm thinking about targeting, which ones do you think would be the best for us to go get, would fit best in this team, and make us the best team overall? Leave your comments down below. Like I said, Giolito, Archie Bradley, 2 guys that I'm very much interested in, along with Nolan Arenado. I don't know if I showed him in this, but he could be a very good third baseman for us. He would definitely cost a lot, but I really like the idea of getting him to pair along with Polanco and Trout. But I will see you for episode 13, like I said, coming up in a couple of days, 'cause I'm out.